Entry-level mining information. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and as usual we'll do the prices, have a look at some news, and then we'll have a chat about where a new starter can try and get into the industry. But first I just want to say congratulations to Cameron, who did the sponsors training and relocated from New South Wales to Kalgoorlie. He just scored himself an underground truck driver's role, so well done mate. So let's have a look at these prices. Copper comes in at $13,167 Australian, which is still way up there. Everybody's making lots of money at that price. Nickel comes in at $23,086 a tonne, which is up. This means that the nickel mines are still ramping up and trying to get more production up and running, which is always good for jobs, especially in the underground space. And if we have a look at gold's going at $2,467 an ounce, which is a big jump up again. Now, I just wanted to have a look at this article from the Kalgoorlie Miner, which shows that a couple of the big underground mining operations are having trouble with their labour or getting labour, and it just shows you how high the price can go. And it just goes to show that you're better off keeping on trying to train people than rather park the gear up. Now, a lot of people ask why the underground employers aren't huge on training. The reason is because whenever they do it, they end up with 3 and 5 people failing in the first 6 months. And it normally costs around $20,000 to get somebody to site, and having them facing front, sitting in a truck, driving it up and down, even if they've got a trainer behind them. So by the time you fly them to site, kit them out, put them through all the inductions, pay for all their wages for those couple of weeks that they're learning all that sort of stuff and setting them forward, after 6 months they only have, if you hire 5 people, they only have 2 people left. So instead of everybody costing 20 grand, 2 people end up costing 50 grand if you average it out. And that's why they don't like training, because they have such a terrible result with it all, and it costs them a lot of money. But there's only one thing that costs more money than training, and that's parking the gear up. And if you park the gear up, then you're inviting other things to go wrong. If you've got a bit of gear on site, you should be trying to run it, or at least have a bum in a seat trying to do it. And that's why there's so many hard rock underground mining jobs going at the moment. So let's have a look at iron ore. And the iron ore price is still nice and high, so it's $265 a tonne, which is really big. And then the big announcement in iron ore this week was that BHP are going to recruit 200 new train drivers. And I know this will have a lot of people scratching their heads of why they're going backwards on this. And a lot of people have already forgotten what happened a couple of years ago with their runaway train. Now, this big accident cost them about $250 million Australian. I think off memory it was about 600 million US. So at the time that was about $250 million Australian. So this happened back in 2019, and it would have taken this long for the company the size of BHP to do their full investigation, have a look at it and see what the risks are for it to happen again. And obviously they think that the risk is fairly high because they're putting all the train drivers back on again. So even if the train is fully automated, they'll still have somebody sitting in the seat just in case something goes wrong, which is good for the industry, and it's good if you're looking to try and get into the industry and you want to drive a train. So that would be the place to apply at the moment if you want to do that. If we have a look at coal is going at $109 a tonne, which is still up there, which is really good, which means there's been a few more mines opening, or not opening up, but shoring themselves up, which means there's been a few more coal jobs that have been advertised around the place. So lastly, I just want to have a look at this post that Win did on mining and construction jobs in Western Australia, which is a good site to have a look at. They got a lot of good information on there. And Win is one of the labour hire companies in Perth, but they traditionally dealt with oil and gas and shutdowns and iron ore and all those sort of places that were really had a lot of jobs going over the last 10 or 15 years, but right now it's dried up. And if you read the thing that they've written, they talk about there only being a handful of trainee jobs available, and that's true. There are. On the surface, unfortunately, there's only a handful of jobs available. The boom in the jobs has moved. When I first started, the boom was underground, and that's how I got in, and then it moved into iron ore, and then it moved into nickel, and then it moved back into iron ore, and then it moved into oil and gas, and now it's moving back into the underground space with the copper, the nickel, and the gold mines. And if you type underground into Seek, you'll see all the jobs come up. And again, this is a good example of a new mine that's opening up. They are looking for everybody around Kalgoorlie. Kalgoorlie is a good place to come, especially if you've done the sponsors training. It's a good place to come and get your start. However, if you scroll down, you'll have a look at this job down here. Barminco are looking for nippers, face. Burncut, which is one of the biggest underground contracting companies in the world. They're based in WA, and it is asking for various roles in Queensland. And if you have a look at their full crew ad, they are asking for entry-level trucks in the ad. But you wouldn't know that looking at it from the front, because it looks like they're looking for experienced people. The reason that they do that is because they don't want to get flooded with thousands and thousands of resumes, like the surface people are at the moment. Very rarely, Barminco does it every now and then, but I've noticed lately they've stopped doing it. They must be sick of getting all the resumes coming in. But when they advertise for entry-level roles, they get thousands of resumes. When they just advertise for the nipper and the truck and the offsider role like this asks for an experienced nipper, but chances are that they're not going to get one. They're going to have to hire somebody and train them up themselves. And it's the same for most of the companies that are in the underground space at the moment. They just physically don't have enough people. Everybody's having to train. They don't do traineeships. It's a sink or swim philosophy. They throw you in the deep end and you either make it or you don't. And that's one of the reasons why we as shift bosses wrote this training back in the day, was to give a person a good survival guide of knowing what they're getting themselves into so they can swim straight away instead of being fished out and put on a plane and sent home, which happens to a lot of people, unfortunately. If you want to have a look at some of the success stories that we've had, you can have a look at the Wall of Fame page. People send in their text messages or their let us know via email about how they got jobs, and we put their stuff up on the page. So I hope you found that information helpful, and there are jobs going in mining, lots of jobs going in mining. It's just all moved to the underground area of the industry, in hard rock, copper, gold, nickel, lead, zinc, those type of mines. The iron ore and coal, are some traineeships going, but like that post said, there's a handful of jobs going and there's thousands of people applying. If you really want to get yourself into the industry, my suggestion is you do the sponsors DIY package and then get yourself to either Mount Isa, Cobar or Kalgoorlie. They're the hot spots for jobs at the moment. Now, if you could like and subscribe the channel and share that information around, thank you.